Hey everybody, welcome back. And I mean, I don't know what to say, man. Like, would you look at this? 23 wins in a row. I'm before I click this randomizer, I'm just gonna say it's a Saturday afternoon. I've had a great day so far. I just have, it's baseless, but I just have like a foreboding, ominous sort of feeling about clicking this button. Okay, I mean, like, we could still lose, don't get me wrong, but regular blue baby. There was a time where this was like a pretty bad roll. that time is no longer. Again, it's not the easiest run you could have. Like, it's probably in the top half of difficulty, but nowhere near. I would say my feeling proved to be false. And you know what? I think from a behavioral standpoint and a statistical standpoint, it's important to note that whenever you feel like you just got a hunch, I think that if it doesn't work out, it just fades from your memory most of the time. And you go, oh, whoa, it didn't work out. Weird. How strange is that? Whereas, when it works out, you're like, oh my god, I'm psychic. I am like above average at predicting what's going to happen. You get yourself tricked. Like, I bet like 80% of human beings think they're above average when it comes to like a sense of that sort of stuff happening in the future. When it comes to measuring their ability to yeah, okay, I've been reading some Daniel Kahneman lately. I've been working on my been flexing that Audible Plus muscle for anybody that's got Audible. They recently added a staggering amount of the books. I've been listening to Maggie Gyllenhaal, reading Anna Karenina, waking up at, all ungodly hours of the night, hearing Maggie Gyllenhaal screaming in like a pseudo-Russian accent about things I don't understand because the audiobook is 34 hours long. But I like to think I'm picking up the gist of it. I do run a sleep timer, by the way. Anytime people are like, how do you wake up and it's still going on? I run a 2-hour sleep timer. It's psychotic. I'm not going to pretend that like there's any reason that you should roll a sleep timer that's that ridiculously long. All I'm gonna say, one moment please. One moment. God, he's good. It didn't work, but that it could have. That's the important part. Is that a half-hour sleep timer, which is probably the norm. I don't. I mean, like, here's how it happens. Okay, you got the half-hour sleep timer. Usually it probably takes me 15-20 minutes to fall asleep. We're gonna think about what to do with Ludo. It's takeable, but it's dubious, I think. Maybe it takes me 20 minutes on average to fall asleep or something like that. Depends on the night. But what happens if I put on a 30-minute sleep timer is that I take longer to fall asleep because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in the middle of just about almost falling asleep, and then I get snapped out of it because the audio just cuts, it fades out, right? So instead, I'm like, okay, what about like 1 hour? 1 hour would probably be sufficient, but there's a little part of me, a little piece of me, that is like, the same thing could happen. Occasionally it takes me 45 minutes to fall asleep. I don't want to be just about falling asleep and then... Okay. That's very good. I don't want to be just about falling asleep and then be like, it's fading out. So I put it on 2 hours. And most of the time that works out well. It does mean some of the times I wake up and it's... Check this out, by the way. Check this out, by the way. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. I can get this key. I can get this key. I can break these cuffs. You can't break those cuffs. I know you're like, this is idiotic. Duh. That's why I'm doing it. It's fun. Remember, you're going to the lamb. Okay, so just chill out. I'm looking for like the quarter, if possible. I mean, you got Epic Fetus early. The world's your top hat. Little known fact, I learned this from MatPat. Did you know, is Dr. Fetus, is Epic Fetus a reference to the Super Meat Boy boss Dr. Fetus? It's true. No, actually, in reality, Epic Fetus is a reference to Dr. Fetus, the item in The Binding of Isaac, which is then a reference to Super Meat Boy's final boss. But in many ways, isn't the final boss of Super Meat Boy really just your own emotions? Something to think about. Tua Hearts. Good item for me to poop on. Blank Rune, 25% chance to drop itself again. Definitely don't mind seeing that. The Magician. I'm happy with the spend, believe it or not, and I think we'll probably try to go Angel deals just because we can. We certainly don't need to put like any extra finesse on Devil deals for the time being. And I'm feeling good, honestly. Like this, I should be. Because it's just, I mean, we got one of the best items in the game from the first secret room we were able to go to. And can I tell you, I'm just throwing this out there. We might not have been able, I don't know if you take this because you can't even pick it up, right? But we might not have been able to get, and you stay with me on this one. We might not have been able to get Dr. Fetus, or Epic Fetus, I should say, if it weren't for using the bomb to go for that secret room. That's Yera F. How do you figure? Look, it's a little complicated. I wouldn't expect you necessarily to follow this around. But we knew exactly where the secret room had to be as a result of this. That way we didn't have to spend one extra bomb trying to find it. Okay. And then we had the bomb available to actually go, you know, blow up the bridge to get to it as a result. So I think that there's a case to be made for that play actually, like, winning the run for us. But maybe not everyone's going to agree on that, and that's okay. I am recording this. It's a little later in the day. It's about 4:30 on a Saturday. It's like, you know, 2/3 of the way through my day because I go to bed at a pretty reasonable hour now. Around, like, you know, maybe 11. It's been a nice day, but excited to be playing some Isaac for sure. When I say nice day, I don't mean traditionally like the weather. The weather's been horrible. And, you know, the baby's been kind of like up and down. Got a little baby emotional instability. Which, again, is fine. And also, I mean, the reason it's been a good day is that I've been, like, really productive, honestly. Like, I woke up in a good mood. I had a zeal and a zest for life. Went out with the baby, renewed my car insurance, you know, mailed some parcels that I had to mail, recycled a bunch of batteries. We got, like, battery recycling areas. We dumped off like a bag full of AAAs we've been using in all the baby toys. It's good. Ooh, thank you. It's good stuff, you know. Apart from that, mostly just chilling. Doing a lot of dad duty today. It is a long weekend. It's Labor Day. I don't know, a solemn observance of Labor Day to you? Happy Labor Day? I don't know what you say. It is, it's funny, like, this is the second year in a row I haven't been at PAX West. After, like, almost a decade of going... I mean, I went from 2012 to 2019 straight. I love this room, man. With Epic Fetus, this room's a trip. Isn't this a good time? It's really like a test of your reaction. Well, your prediction time, really. No, you know what? It's not, because Mongo Baby's doing work. I guess we're going for the Mongo Baby kill. Last year, of course, there was no PAX West because people still took COVID, like, seriously. This year, there is a PAX West. And it's been... If you'll forgive me for a little bit... I don't really mean this as schadenfreude. Like, I don't mean to offend people that went. Or maybe, like, people were like, oh, it's my first PAX. I'm, like, excited to go, and then they went. But, like, the pictures coming out of the event, there's normally, like, 80,000 people and, you know, every game developer on the planet there. And then this time there's, like... I mean, like, the expo hall looks like there's basically nobody there, and people were saying the biggest publisher at the event is Bandai Namco. I don't mean to insult Bandai Namco, okay? Like, there's... They got some slappers. Hey, Dark Souls Prepare to Die? Look... No kidding. Some good stuff. Or maybe they started at Dark Souls 2, I can't remember. But anyway, they make the Tales games as well. But it's been funny seeing the response. Good hit, good hit. Because sometimes, you know, people are like, well, you know, they didn't have much of an option because, you know, the contracts that they have with the distributor or with the company that, hold on, Twist Spades, you know, like, just work. I mean, I was in the middle of a story and then you go and you drop, you know, 1,000 little cards like this. Just frick off for a second, okay? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's always, whenever people are like, what the heck, I paid $350 for these PAX tickets, and the convention sucks, there's always, like, the corporate sympathizers come out and are like, well, in, you know, Reed Pop's defense, they had no option. These contracts are done, you know, years in advance, and, you know, they probably already had obligations to the hotels and something like that. Like, they literally had no choice but to rip off their audience and cause irreparable harm to their reputation. I shouldn't say it for the record, because you know, maybe it jeopardizes my ability to get media access at PAX in the future. I'd be happy to pay for the, you know, the regular, the normie badge, if you will. I'm just saying, like, I just laugh when people are like, well, yeah, the event kind of sucks, but, you know, you gotta sympathize with Reed Pop, because, you know, they stand to lose a lot of money if they don't rip people off in this situation, knowing that the event can't possibly go forward the way that it was originally intended as a result of Delta. Now, don't get me wrong, by the way, I agree in principle that it sucks for them, because, you know, again, it's tough to say, because now, like, hindsight is 2020, but, you know, at the time when they announced it in, like, May or whatever, everything seemed a little bit more like, hey, this is like the reopening, everything's great, everything's copacetic, you got nothing to worry about, we'll just pop these. And now, obviously, like, that's not the case anymore. But, I still don't understand, like, you know, I mean, I guess again, I'm sympathetic, and yet also simultaneously, whenever people are like, oh, they had no choice but to rip people off. I'm like, well, they had a choice. The choice was, you know, rip off your customers or get ripped off yourself, and you chose rip off your customers. But anyway, the words there are harsher than I even intended. It's mostly just bizarre to watch the videos and be like, you know, what's normally like a super full packed event is instead just like barren. Yeah, let's not play the Eddie Room. But it's also weird thinking, like, you know, that was where I was like 2 years ago. And every year before that at around this time. It's normally like, you know, feel free to pull out the smallest violin. I'm not actually like that upset about it, but it is like normally a symbolic end of the summertime. And now, like, the symbolic end of the summertime is the fact that it actually rained today after like a summer of almost zero rain. I was like, it's September. I would like Twit longer. I would like to apologize for my comments about the Reed Pop organization. Well, no, look, it's a Saturday. He's wilding out, man. Can say whatever he chooses. Working towards conjoined, which will... I bet it does work with Sister Maggie. Or not Sister Maggie, with Epic Fetus. I bet it's similar to like the quad shot effect. That's just my hunch. Running away with me. But yeah, it genuinely has been, it's been a good day. Just, I mean, I love having a productive Saturday. You know, like, that's my philosophy on a 2-day weekend. And I don't mean productive like, oh, you know, laborious. I mean productive like, you know, doing the stuff that will make the rest of your week better, either by removing some mental overhead, like, oh, this has been hanging over my head for a while, or, like, literally by making your quality of life better. Like doing a big meal prep on a weekend day or something like that, so you got easy lunches for the rest of the week. I love it. It just feels right, you know? What do you got for me? And I much prefer... And I think this is what I always say, like, about procrastination. And I know that, like, I procrastinate things all the time. Even still, but I'm better about it than I've ever been in my life. when I don't get the chance to do the things that I need to do that are productive on a Saturday and I have to do them on a Sunday instead, I feel like my enjoyment of the weekend is like 20% less. Because I still do the same amount of like chores, but I just like almost, dread is not the right word, but I spend Saturday being like, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because I got like other stuff going on or whatever. And then on Sunday, I'm like, oh, you get the punishment of knowing you still have to do something, and then you don't get any reward out of it, I guess. Like when you procrastinate something that literally has to be done, congratulations, you've lost twice, you know? Unless maybe, and I've never been this person, but maybe this kind of person does exist. Maybe when you procrastinate, you're like the sicko's JPEG, right? Ha! Yes! Yes! And you get a thrill out of it. But I think what I've gotten out of procrastination in my life is really just like a very temporary feeling of like resignation, followed by more medium-term guilt. So teleports you to the secret room? We might as well. We might as well. Remember, the secret room is pretty much responsible for this run being where it is right now. Oh, baby. You're making me crazy every time I look around. Every time I look around. Every time I... That's how bizarre. Okay. For a second, I forgot what song it was. I was very upset with myself. So yeah, that's basically it. That's been my day. I thought I had a banger tweet. Isn't that? I mean, I oscillate back and forth. I actually don't think we really care for store credit, honestly. Like, aren't we? I mean, admittedly, it is like a 15-cent savings, but is there even anything we want to buy? Are we getting anything out of Teardrop Locket right now? I don't think so. So maybe it is worth holding. You know what? There is something worth buying. Can I tell you? I think we actually buy the member card, and then something in here could cost an arm and a leg. Blank rune was alges. Blank rune is the gaz. Blank rune is Hagalaz. Blank rune is alges. Blank rune is Hagalaz. I think we'll take the Soul of Eden with us as a reroll. And what do we got? The Sun card as well. Let's reroll this while we can.
Soul of Eden.
That's just not good enough. I think we will still take counterfeit, or not counterfeit penny, but store credit. Okay, and then we'll leave. We're belaboring the point here for no reason. My tweet was, it's over for you when I get my new glasses prescription. And it, you know, what's the inspiration for this? As we go VH1 behind the music, behind the tweet. It's very simple. I haven't had a glasses appointment since February of 2019. You know, it's been a... You're supposed to go 2 years, but some of us like to live a little bit dangerously, so I went more than 2 years without getting my glasses prescription done, mostly because I don't want to go to the optometrist during COVID, which might end up being a bit naive. We may end up very well having to do it, which is also fine. But also, I thought, isn't it just a funny vibe? Isn't that emblematic of the human condition, thinking something so minor is going to save your life? I'm sure, you know, I've been there before with many other things, not just my glasses prescription, but, like, it's over for you guys once I start eating a salad once a week. Like, you guys, you're going to be... Once I'm living my best life, jogging 5K 2X weekly and eating one garden salad instead of a cheeseburger, it's over for you haters, you know? Go ahead, hit me. See if I care. Don't blow up the gas, please. I'm gonna be hit. I did not get hit. Anyway, the tweet didn't do that well, so I'd like to announce my resignation from Twitter. All of these tweets from this point onwards are for super followers only. I had another tweet, and this is my other vibe, but it's very just like boomer humor. So I try to abstain from it, knowing that my demographic is very, like, you know, millennial Gen Z, which is also what I am, millennial at least. Not even an elder millennial, by the way. I'm a mid-millennial. copium. Figured we might as well at least check. What do you got? What do you got? Nothing? Okay. I'm not sweating it. Like, we're in this... It's an unbelievably one run as is. We don't need to sweat it. We also don't need to blow ourselves up, but... do as I say, not as I do, in full effect here. My other tweet, though, was... little known fact. You legally don't have to stop at a stop sign as long as you extend your hand in a polite wave to all the people that you cut off. That was inspired by me waiting to see if a car was going to stop at a stop sign, and instead it just rolled through the entire intersection very slowly with his hand outstretched as if to say, sorry, there's nothing I can do. Back when I bought this car, brakes hadn't been invented yet, so I legally have no choice but to ignore the stop sign. I also had another tweet. This one was not going to be popular in my demographic, but this is what happens, you know, in this is the Isaac section rejected tweets, right? Keep in mind, this is something I said no to. It popped into my head. I got no control over that, and I said no to tweeting it, and it was a two-part tweet in one tweet. The first part was going to say, cyclists when they cut off a driver because they failed to yield at a stop sign, and then it was going to be open quotation mark, sorry, the world is not made for cars, it's made for people. And then the next part, we're going to get a new line break, and it's going to say, cyclists when a pedestrian legally crosses the street at a crosswalk, forcing them to hit the brakes and lose all their momentum, and it's the meme picture of Jesse Pinkman's face being beat red, going, no! Anyway, I decided not to tweet it, and there's two reasons. One is, yes, I thought there was a part of me that's like, this is not going to be popular, and maybe I'll catch, not like some serious flack, but why not, man? Why not? But like I'm sure I'm gonna get -2'd out of my whatever, which is how you know you're is how you know you're speaking the truth. That's how you know you struck a nerve. But then the other part of it is that, you know, as a cyclist myself, I don't want to reflect poorly on the cycling community. I think people who predominantly only drive talk a lot of smack about both cyclists and pedestrians. People who predominantly cycle talk a lot of smack about pedestrians and drivers. People who mostly walk talk a lot of smack about drivers and cyclists. And the reality of the situation is there's bad versions of all those people. I complained about all of them. I'm the true Dr. Manhattan in this situation, I guess. But what's the problem, you know, as a cyclist, what's the problem with drivers? Not paying attention to, like, the bicycle lanes, or, you know, if you... even as a driver, it's complicated, you know. In North America, you drive on the right side of the road. As a driver, I'm always paranoid turning right in busy areas, because the cyclists, you know, you check your mirror, you check your blind spot, you go to make the turn, and then 3 seconds later, well, like 0.3 seconds later, there's like, hey, bike! Sorry, that probably woke you up there. And I will admit as well, I have seen situations where there are just some people out there that just want to fight. You know what? Because of Cracked Crown, I think this is better. Speed upgrade is not so good, but or speed downgrade is not so good, I should say. Like, I saw a situation it was probably like a month ago now, but we're scraping the bottom of the anecdote barrel because it's raining outside, where, like, a cyclist was, the driver was turning right, and there was a cyclist, like, 100 meters behind them, that just started gunning it, and then they were shouting, like, bike! And then the car turned right, and the cyclist had to slam on the brakes, and he lost his mind. He was like, oh, you idiot, and like smacking the back of the car. And I from an outside and an impartial observer, and it was impartial, I was like, this guy literally, like, created the conflict himself by just you know, speeding up unexpectedly so that he would be put in a position to be cut off. Like, at that point, you know, you don't need more attentive drivers. You need a therapist. But that being said, are there drivers out there who are very... well, you know, people make mistakes for one, but are there drivers habitually who probably, you know, don't pay as close attention to where cyclists could be as they should? Yes, absolutely. Or drivers who have road rage when they're trapped behind a cyclist who's going slower than they want to go, even though, like, even if they went faster, there would be a car in front of them in, like, 2 seconds that would cause them to go that same speed anyway. Of course. What is the problem with pedestrians? Look, okay? The world is made to be lived in, but when you wear all black on a rainy day and you jaywalk, it just creates a situation that seems dangerous, okay? I don't even mean... This is the greatest play I've ever made, just for the record. I don't even mean, like... You know what it is? And I'm not trying to... I guess the purpose of this video right now is to offend absolutely everybody. As a driver, when I'm driving my car... I'm really just trying not to have my life ruined by, like, hitting you. So, I agree, like, people should pay as close attention as possible. But sometimes people will, you know, they'll dress in all black with their hood up. It'll be, like, 1 in the morning, rainy. And then they'll be, you know, checking their phone as they walk through a crosswalk. And, you know, basically walking at a snail's pace. And you're like, this is just... It's... You have a death wish at this point. Dude, we're wisping it up here. Like, we just don't want to die or kill somebody. Like, it's always, you know, the driver's fault. To be fair, it's probably mostly the driver's fault. But, and as a cyclist, what's the annoying thing about pedestrians? Oh man, in Vancouver at least, pedestrians walking on split bike and pedestrian paths, deviating from the pedestrian path to walk on the bike path for conceivably no reason. Oh my god, and then you gotta swerve, and they're mad at you. They're like, whoa, these cyclists are crazy. I do like the D1, but like we could do better here. With the restock machine, we could do better. Empty heart, I don't think so. Almond milk is just, it's not the right run for it. I will take an adrenaline. I don't expect it to be great. Poison tears, I don't think we need it. I think we could do better. Infestation, we could do a lot better, and we did. That is the greatest room we've had in a long time. That's great stuff right there. And we'll wisp our way. Well, you know, I was gonna say we'll wisp our way out of here. We don't really have to though. And then, you drivers and pedestrians are united. What's the annoying thing about cyclists? You follow the rules of the road when it's convenient for you. When it's inconvenient for you, you just blow through the stop sign and, you know, don't even pay any attention to the people that might have been trying to cross the street with a stroller, for example. Look, and I am all three of those. I'm a driver, and I've probably done some things that would annoy cyclists and pedestrians. I'm a pedestrian. I'm just gonna call it. I'm like a world-class pedestrian. I follow the rules of the sidewalk. You can deliver my Nobel Peace Prize, like, you know, to the P.O. box if you want. If I need to cross the street, I know you're gonna be like, oh my god, he's the one. We found the one guy on planet Earth that does this. Instead of jaywalking through traffic and giving waves in both directions, I'll walk like 16 steps in either direction just to get to a crosswalk so that, you know, I minimize the risk of either getting hit or, you know, inconveniencing somebody else. Like and you know, this makes me the most boring person on planet Earth for sure. But I look at like traffic very much, whether you're a cyclist or a pedestrian or a driver, I look at traffic like being like an electron inside of a copper wire. Like there's a rule set, or you know, the way that like a computer program works, okay? You have a job to do. You have rules that are dictated by, you know, the things around you and also the laws and the signs that are on the road. If everybody behaves in a predictable fashion, the risk of getting hit by a 2,000-pound machine or hitting somebody with your 2,000-pound machine becomes much lower. So I guess that makes me boring to, like, not want to die. Other people out there are like, yeah, I'm kind of a bad boy. When I have to go to Gray's Papaya, I just cross the street. If a taxi driver's checking his cell phone and kills me, that's his problem, I guess. Hey, +2, +2, -2, -2. My father died in the jaywalking wars. And you are making light of this situation? What is this? The Magician. Nobody knows what it does. It's the soul, maybe? Yes. 1 minute soul? Sure. Okay. We're on depths too. Okay, good. Because I was making myself angry for no reason, to be honest. Like, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Now I'm like, I'm mad at everybody. I'm just saying, okay? That was my justification for the anti-cyclist tweet. Is that I am actually a cyclist myself. Hey, you know what also annoys me as a cyclist is getting, you know, being on a nice, like, pedestrian, well, not pedestrian, but like a nice, like, scenic kind of route where there's, you know, cyclists of all activity levels and getting blown by like, some, you know, 53-year-old triathlete wannabe, you know, Hootsuite CFO dressed like Lance Armstrong who's like, on your left! And then, like, you know, almost, you know, runs you over trying to set the highest time on Strava for scenic beachfront ride. Like, it's just too much, man. It's just too much. Just chill out. Have you ever considered, don't you worry about a thing? Because every little thing is going to be all right. So no boss can stand up to us right now. Now that we got Crown of Light, like, I mean, we were already zooming, but... Anyway, now that I've offended literally every mode of transportation... Wait, that's not true! You haven't talked about people on electric scooters yet. He pantomimes being a stand-up comedian from the edgy late 90s and early 2000s, taking a drag from a cigarette on stage. It's like, figure it out, okay? Do you go in the bike lane? Do you go on the road? Do you go on the sidewalk? You're a car when you want to be a car. You're a pedestrian when you want to be a pedestrian. All I want is for you to get out of the way. The audience reacts with uproarious applause. The comedian serving as a speaker for their own impotent rage. I'm not actually that upset for the most part. I get annoyed with drivers more than anything else, and the reason I get annoyed with drivers is the obvious. If they hit you, you're probably gonna get hurt. You can get hurt by a cyclist, don't get me wrong, but, you know, a cyclist blows through a stop sign and clips you, you know, you might fall down, hurt your arm a little bit. Still sucks, don't get me wrong. I don't know why I'm even taking that, to be honest. Just moving the bone heart further up the queue. You know, a car blows through a stop sign and hits you, you could end up, you know, having your life changed, to put it mildly. Don't mind if I do. And then a pedestrian, I mean, I actually, like, I'm one of those psychos, I think I almost, like, look forward to, like, when someone is being an inattentive pedestrian, because then I get to look them dead in the face. And I think I've really gotten, like, people have said NL has resting you-know-what face to begin with. Even when I'm happy, and it's annoying, just to be honest, but you could be, like, really happy, and people will just be like, what's wrong? And you're like, oh, nothing. And they're like, oh, you look mad. And I'm like, well, okay, thanks for, like, ruining my day. I was actually picturing... Like, I was in my happy place, but now I realize that just because of my bone structure and, like, my facial tendons, like, I'm putting out an image out there of, like, being unapproachable. As a teenager, that was annoying to me, I guess. Now it's actually kind of like an asset, I think, because I don't want to be spoken to by strangers outside, unless they're fans. And I'm being sincere. I've never had an interaction with a fan where as soon as it was over, I was like, oh, you know, roll my eyes. Thank God that's finally over. Because it feeds my ego. So why wouldn't it? I guess is the honest truth. And I'm like, still got it. We could get that, but also, like, who cares? Man, we didn't even make Hush on this run, despite getting Epic Fetus on the first floor. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, it takes you out of it. But plus 1.92 damage, so true. Anyway, what was I saying a second ago? I think I was saying something a second ago. We go down. Yeah, we go down. What a run, man. Oh, I was gonna say I already have RBF, resting you-know-what face. So imagine the kind of withering glare I could put out there when somebody is walking towards me on the sidewalk, but they're looking at their phone and not following a straight path. So I move so that their path will not intercept me, and then they move again without even really realizing it, so their path intercepts me again, and then they look up from their phone at the last possible minute, like, oh, am I bothering anybody? And I give them the, yeah. And then sometimes you'll get like a, oops, or like, sorry, and I don't say no problem. I just raise my eyebrows a little bit, and I'm like, you can't see what I'm doing, but you can imagine. I raise my eyebrows in the sense of like, it's a living. I imagine myself saying that. It's a living. The comedian takes a drag off his cigarette. You know what really grinds my gears? Everything. That could even be the name of the special. You know what really grinding my gears? You know what really? So, sorry, I'm working on my set. I'm gonna debut it at PAX West next year for an audience of 6 people. All of whom I'll be happy to say hi to after the show, by the way. Alright. One-tapped Satan. Pretty good look. Hello? Is there a boss here? He's finally come. My sinking's all out. One-tapped... One-tapped Satan's foot. Alright, this is looking pretty solid. This is the kind of run you dream about. It's getting pretty wild, right? Like, we're up to a 24 streak now. And forgive me, I bet that's gonna be insane. Forgive me for suggesting this run is already over. I'm so slow. Look at that. Well, foreshadowing. It seems like... Actually, you know what? It seems like Brimstone Bombs is not working at all. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It works... Oh, that's spun. It works somewhat ironically on the flies, but it doesn't work on my missiles from the sky. Anyway, that's over. That was, I didn't even have time to complain. Well, that's one thing that doesn't grind my gears. That one heck of a run. And we got quite the repentance streak going here. Hope you've had a good, probably Labor Day weekend is over at this point. If you enjoyed the episode, please do click the like button. It helps me figure out what programming decisions to do, including playing more Isaac. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!